Hello, my name is Xinyun Zhang, and this video presentation is about how I conduct secondary research and get some understanding from reading and analyzing others' previous research findings and commercial efforts, and use these understandings to make improvements and thinking for my further user research. And my presentation is divided into 5 parts. First is introduction. My topic is how can digital interactions involving music support more meaningful experiences when doing rehabilitation exercise. The reason I chose this topic was because by chance, I accompanied my grandfather to a rehabilitation exercise. I found the process of this exercise is painful and monotonous. Meanwhile, the mode of patients at this stage is very unstable. They have a low tolerance for setbacks. Like my grandfather will feel useless during this process. So the aim of this desk research are to develop an understanding of patients who need to do painful and monotonous rehabilitation exercise, and also develop an understanding of how music changed the experience of patients participating in these exercises. So the methods of desk research. I went to ACM Digital Library and Google Scholar, search and download 25 articles using the keywords like music and rehabilitation exercise, and then screened the contents. Finally, I selected 8 articles as academic resources and 5 articles as commercial efforts. Here's my findings. First, Timothy and his team screened 120 sounds labeled happy or sad and asked 82 people to rate the sounds. By observing the participants' brain, mode, and heart activity, it is found that listening to music can arouse people's memories of the same emotion. Like, people will associate lullabies with their childhood and so on. What they didn't do is that they just had people in the studio listening to the music, but they didn't investigate it further in a particular situation. And then I saw NACO's team narrow it down to build a music retrieval technique that matched patients' rehabilitation exercise with their favorite music types. However, if the tone was not one of the patient's favorite tones, or if the variation was not enough, the patient's motivations will reduce. This technique was not successful, and patients found that these movements were not suitable for practice. Then, through some clinical studies, Alexander's team found that TIMP is suitable for upholding rehabilitation exercise of patients. Also, Pedro and his team have developed a set of digital drum pads, especially for stroke patients. The technique is successful, and patients who stick with it report improved physical, mental, and emotional outcomes. Nicholas' team designed an AIMS app, which is a rehabilitation assistant memo that uses musical vibrations and audio to remind patients to do exercise. Fensh's team also designed a similar app. However, the app failed because each patient's needs were different. An app could not tailor a service to the patient's need. Also, the live PSE model developed by Imogen's team was also not successful, as patients did not experience improved exercise participation and mode during rehabilitation, but it increased fatigue. And also, Petro collected patients' preferences for music creation and created a patient music workshop in an attempt to use music therapy to motivate patients and relieve physiological stress. Alexander's team established the same NMT service for patients. Results show that 62% of the patients thought the service was feasible. In the future, I think the team needs to further investigate the effectiveness and sustainability of the prototype. And then Maria's team developed a humanoid therapy robot to improve and encourage patients' experience of rehabilitation exercise. Meanwhile, Richard's team also designed a similar IMAP program, but this is only a preliminary system design, and I think the team will need to determine its effectiveness by measuring patients' heart rates in the future. And Finally, Jeffrey's team designed an audio player that could control the rhythm of music for child patients, while Jim's team proposed a prototype of a music visualization system. The digital experience environment motivates the child to be active and enjoy the rehabilitation process in a fun and playful way. But the design cost will put pressure on the designer. Then is next step. The understanding gained from my DEXT research helped me understand the novel ways in which patients had tried out digital technologies. I'm going to go a bit further and think about how to make these experiences more valuable. I also reflect on the impact of the successes and failures of research findings in DEXT research on the patient's experiences. When conducting user research in the future, I will understand patients' needs and feelings through interviews, seminars, or observation. My user base is patients. I want to learn from users their views and feelings about rehabilitation exercise, even some daily experiences, which can be a story or their feeling about using a certain product. I think users would be interested in these three questions. First is, do these patients who are undergoing rehabilitation feel excluded, or have they ever felt useless at any moment, or the most impressive and proud experience they have ever had? And here's all my reference lists. Thank you for listening.